What's up, LUMIOSE trainers? LUMIOSE Trainer Zach here. Welcome to the series where I review each Pokemon League arc in the anime. Each episode will be rated from 1 to 10, and the league's overall rating will be determined by the combined rating of each episode. In this video, I'll be reviewing Ash's 4th Pokemon League, the Sinnoh League Lily of the Valley Island Conference. Let's get started. Episode 1. An Old Family Blend. Alright, we all know this episode. It begins with Ash and the gang arriving on Lily of the Valley Island. Now I gotta say, right off the bat, it was truly a great way to start off the league. It didn't copy previous league formulas by spending the whole episode introducing a new rival, or reintroducing Mr. Good Show, or even making Ash light up the torch just cuz. We get something completely different. For this introductory episode, we get the return of many of Ash's Pokemon, and it's freaking awesome. But before we get to the good stuff, I do have one complaint. This episode is low-key the generic Team Rocket plot we've seen before. Team Rocket try to steal Ash's Pokemon, get blasted off, and then they're all scattered. So now it's up to Ash and the gang to find them all. You see? Generic. But at least it's with the nice twist of reuniting with some of Ash's older Pokemon. At first, they didn't show who Ash transferred over, so you really didn't know who you were gonna see. Except for Totodile, because he's the only one with a different Pokeball. The first batch was Corphish, Totodile, Snorlax, Bayleaf, and Cyndaquil. It was great to see these guys again. Then Team Rocket comes back, again, and tries to get Cyndaquil, but it evolves into Quailava. This was awesome and totally unexpected. The episode ends with the opening ceremony and Ash finding out that his first opponent is going to be Nando. Now, like I said, the basic Team Rocket stuff isn't all that great, but luckily the return of Ash's Pokemon really saves it for me. So this episode's rating is an 8 out of 10. Episode 2. League Unleashed. In this episode, the battles finally begin, and it's Ash versus Nando. What's great is that Nando is a character that was introduced in the beginning of the Diamond and Pearl series and became sort of a pseudo-rival for both Dawn and Ash, so it all came full circle. Now what sucks about this episode is that their first two Pokemon go down pretty quickly. Ash actually sends out his newly evolved Quailava, but then it cuts to Team Rocket and then skips over the battle. And then once we do get back to Quailava, it ends up being a quick double knockout. Great. Yeah, it wasn't looking too good for this episode. Luckily, we get the final matchup, and it's between Nando's Kricketune and Ash's Heracross, which is where I feel like the episode really begins. That's right, Heracross? That's right, Heracross makes a return, and he's here to kick some ass. Ash wasn't kidding when he said he wanted to see a head-to-head bug-type battle, cause that's exactly what we got. Like, whoever thought that bug-types could have such an awesome battle? An awesome moment is when Heracross falls victim to Kricketune's sleep and, well, falls asleep. But Ash saw this coming from Nando, so he taught his Heracross sleep talk and then strikes back with a powerful focus punch. There's also the epic finish with Heracross using Mega Horn to destroy the ground from Kricketune's feet to take the win. Freaking epic. Now, even though this was a great league start for Ash, they still had to rub it in your face that Paul is better than him by having him win his first match without losing a single Pokemon. There's also the fact that Barry mentions in this episode that there's a trainer in the league who uses our Darkrai. So there's definitely a lot of tough competition here, and I like it. This episode's rating is a 7 out of 10. Episode 3. Casting a Pall on Barry. This episode was pretty solid, to be honest. It starts off with Ash winning his second match with Snorlax's Pulverizing Pancake Z move. Wait, wrong generation. Sucks that we didn't get more Snorlax action, but it's fine because that's not the main focus of this episode. The real highlight was Barry versus Paul. Ever since Barry was introduced, we knew that he was a Paul fanboy, so this was finally Barry's chance to impress his senpai. And he got wasted. This battle was interesting because it's two of Ash's rivals going at it this time. It's funny though, cause Barry was all talk and saying things like him versus Paul was practically like the final match of the league or something, but Paul was pretty quick to put him in his place. Barry couldn't defeat a single Pokemon. You almost feel bad for the dude. His Skarmory got one-shot by Magmortar's Flamethrower, Hitmonlee held its own against Ursaring until it activated its Guts ability and got defeated, and Barry's final Pokemon, Empoleon, has to face off against Paul's Electivire. And I think you know how that went. One cool thing to note is the fact that Empoleon activates his Torrent ability, but it didn't really help against Paul. Like, at all. At the end of the battle, Barry acknowledges that he lost, but still says that he had a great battle, and Paul agrees, which shows that he's in a total douchebag. It's just to Ash. This episode's rating is an 8 out of 10. Episode 4. Working on a right move. So right off the bat, we see Ash doing some last minute training, and Infernape ends up learning Flare Blitz. It seems like the Pokemon Ash is going to use for his third round will be Infernape, Torterra, and Glalie. But Conway is spying in the background and has come up with a strategy to counter that team. Good thing Ash switches things up and sends out his Noctowl.
Got him!
Now this episode was an awesome one. From start to finish, it was non-stop action. Conway's a pretty interesting trainer, with him having his own unique battle style. So this really made the match stand out compared to other league battles. For example, how Conway's Shuckle uses Power Trick to switch its attack and defense to give Ash some trouble. Even when Ash has the upper hand, Conway then takes the advantage again by using Trick Room, making his Dusknoir super speedy. Luckily for Ash, he had Gible. Gible was definitely the MVP of this match. It was awesome as heck when it catches Shuckle's Gyro Ball in its mouth and then destroys it with its newly mastered Draco Meteor. I can't think of a better moment to perfect a move. On top of that, it does the same thing again by biting Dusknoir's Shadow Punch, blasting it with a Draco Meteor, and then the icing on the cake, smacking it dead in the face with a Dragon Pulse. What an awesome finish. The episode ends with the revelation that it's finally time for Ash to face Paul. This episode's rating is a 9 out of 10. Episode 5. Familiarity breeds strategy. Alright, the battle between Ash and Paul has officially started, so you know this episode was super hype. But what I like about this is that before we get to see it, we get a quick look back at what happens prior. Ash was doing some training with Gliscor that returned after training with the Air Battle Master, while Paul was talking to his brother Reggie. This then gives us a nice moment where they meet each other that really helps to build up to their battle. And as for the actual battle, it's intense right from the start. What I like about this episode is that Ash has the upper hand right off the bat. Very different from other battles that he's had with Paul, where he always gets completely destroyed. So this really shows his growth. Like how he sends Infernape to face Aggron once Pikachu wasn't doing so well. Infernape literally wrecks Aggron's face and I love it. Now even when Paul tries to throw Ash off with Gastrodon's counter shield, Ash is able to make the switch into Buizel to knock it out with an Ice Aqua Jet Ice Punch combo. That was awesome. I gotta say though, seeing Paul use a counter shield really shows how he's changed and adapted Ash's battle style into his own. The episode ends with Drapion attacking Buizel and Reggie revealing that Paul losing his first 2 Pokemon was all a part of his plan. So that doesn't sound good. By the way, are we just gonna ignore the fact that Reggie is totally talking to himself? Anyways, this was a solid start to an epic rival battle conclusion. So this episode's rating is an 8 out of 10. Episode 6. A real rival rouser. Now for the first part of this match, Ash had the upper hand, but for this episode, it was all about Paul. The biggest problem was that damn Drapion. Right off the bat, it takes out 3 of Ash's Pokemon in a row, and that's all thanks to its annoying toxic spikes that kept hurting everybody. Even when Ash tries to counter with Staraptor, Drapion just grabs it and throws it onto the freaking ground like a savage. Can we get some Fs in the chat please? Seems like everything is going as Paul predicted, but that was his biggest mistake. Ash is the king of unpredictable battle styles, so of course he's gonna turn things around. He does so by making Infernape use an underground Flare Blitz to get rid of the toxic spikes for good. And with that out of the way, Ash has no problem taking out Ninjask and Frostlass. Things are finally going Ash's way again, and the episode ends with Gliscor going up against that stupid Drapion and dodging its pin missiles like a boss. This episode's rating is a 9 out of 10. Episode 7. Battling a Thaw in Relations. This is it, the final part of this 3-part rival conclusion, and it was epic. Like I said, Drapion is using Pin Missile, and Gliscor is dodging them all like a boss. Crap, never mind, fuck! At least it was able to take it out with a Fire Fang. Good on ya, Gliscor, and good riddance, you stupid Drapion. Paul's final Pokemon was Electivire, and although it had a disadvantage, it was able to use Thunder on the battlefield to hurt Gliscor and catch it with his 2 tails. So yeah, Gliscor is pretty much donezo. Next up is an intense battle between Electivire and Pikachu. It was very reminiscent of Ash and Paul's first battle, which was an awesome throwback. Then Pikachu's taken out with Brick Break. Rest in spaghetti, never forgetty. And now it's time for the final matchup of Electivire versus Infernape. It was intense, fast-paced, and super hype. It looks like Infernape is about to lose, but then it's the moment we've all been waiting for. Infernape uses Blaze and goes Super Saiyan! Everybody loves this moment. It was truly epic. Watching this moment, you can't help but remember all the battles Ash has had and always losing to Paul. But now things have finally changed. Infernape, the Pokemon that Paul abandoned because he thought it was pathetic, was kicking Electivire's ass. It was truly poetic. And the battle ends with an epic collision between Flare Blitz and Thunder Punch. They cause a huge explosion. Then the dust clears. They stare each other down, and then Electivire takes the fall. Ash has finally defeated Paul. Yes! I love this moment. It was done so right and felt so well deserved. The icing on the cake is when Cynthia is explaining how their battle gave birth to a connection between the two of them. And you really feel this. This is not only the perfect ending to the rivalry between Ash and Paul, but a perfect League episode. This episode's rating is a 10 out of 10. Now on to Darkrai. The final episode. Semi-final Frontier. Oh boy, it's time for this episode. Here we have Ash in the semifinals facing off against Tobias, the Darkrai trainer. Now obviously, Ash gets wrecked pretty hard. I mean, it's a freaking Darkrai, so we kinda saw this coming a mile away. But it still sucks. It doesn't help that even after Darkrai is taken out, he uses a freaking Latios right after.
Oh, I'm coming. I'm done here. I fulfilled my purpose. I ain't need to see no more shit down here.
Like, what the heck? How strong is this guy? I will say though, the best moments of the episode have to be when Sceptile makes an epic return by taking out Darkrai, and then Pikachu battles with Latios. With Sceptile, it was awesome because things seemed hopeless for Ash, but then leave it to one of his ace Pokemon to get the job done. Definitely one of Ash's best moments despite the final outcome of the match. As for Pikachu's battle with Latios, it was super intense with Pikachu giving it its all. The Volt Tackle Iron Tail finish was super epic and I love it, even if it ended in a tie. Now the conflicting part of this episode is that it has two moments that can easily be considered as one of the greatest in the entire anime, but Ash loses so badly here that it hurts. This honestly felt like a rushed way to finish the league and prevent Ash from winning, but I still gotta tip my hat to Pikachu and Sceptile's moments, so you can still get enjoyment from this episode. This episode's rating is a 7 out of 10. This league's overall rating is an 8.3 out of 10. The best so far. It just did so many things right, one of the most obvious being that Ash brought so many of his older Pokemon back. It was awesome to see him battle with a mix of old and new Pokemon. There was also the fact that they really did well in the rivals department. Not just having Barry and Paul present, but having minor rivals like Nando and Conway come back was great and made almost every battle Ash had important. There was only like one battle that got skipped. Now there's no question that the true highlight of the league was Ash's 3-part final battle with Paul. It was the perfect way to end their rivalry, and it was what the Diamond and Pearl series was building up to since the very beginning, so I'm so glad that they stuck the landing here. The biggest problem with the league though is Tobias. Like, this would have been a perfect league if they ended right after Paul, but no. Ash has to lose, so we're just gonna cram in this guy who uses legendary so he can finish the league already. That was so dumb. And yeah, it was cool to see Ash hold his own, barely, but it doesn't change the fact that this was such a rushed ending to an otherwise perfect league arc. But aside from that, this was still a great league. Of course, this is the climax of the Diamond and Pearl series, but in a way, it can also be seen as the climax for the entire anime series up until this point. Think about it. Ash brought back Pokemon from all his regional travels, defeated his greatest rival ever, and has made it the farthest he's ever been in a league before. In a way, this could have been a good ending for the entire anime if the writers wanted it to be. And the fact that he was even able to take out a couple legendaries shows that this league was taking Ash Ketchum in the right direction. What the fuck? Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure to spread some peace, love, and positivity, and I'll see you all next time.